Leo, I want to ask you something kind of strange. Have you ever been in the middle of a sentence in English and suddenly your brain just stops? Like there's a tiny gap, and during that gap, you're translating.
Oh my gosh, yes, all the time. It's like my brain hits a red light right in the middle of a green light.
A red light in the middle of a green light.
Exactly. Everything's flowing, and then suddenly, stop. Wait, what's the word for that in English? And by the time I find it, the conversation has already moved on without me.
That happened to me so much when I was learning Spanish. I'd be having this great conversation, feeling confident, and then one tiny word would just break everything.
One word?
One word. I remember trying to say I'm starving in Spanish, and instead of just saying it, my brain went, okay, starving in English, what's the Spanish word? Wait, is it the same as hungry but stronger? Do I conjugate this differently?
Meanwhile, the waiter's just standing there.
Just standing there, watching me have an entire internal crisis over one adjective.
Okay, but here's my real question. Why does this happen? Like, why do our brains insist on going through this translation process even when we know the words?
That, Leo, is exactly what we're talking about today. Because there is actually a secret, a specific shift that happens in your brain that makes translation disappear almost completely.
Wait, completely? Like it just stops?
It stops being necessary. And once you understand why it happens and how to retrain your brain, speaking suddenly feels different, lighter somehow.
Okay, now I need to know this secret immediately.
We'll get there, I promise. But first, hey everyone, welcome back to Speak English Podcast, the show where we help you speak English more naturally, more confidently, and yes, without that awkward translation pause we just talked about.
My name's Leo, and as always, I'm here representing every single person who has ever frozen mid-sentence trying to find the right word.
And I'm Sarah. By the end of today's episode, you're going to understand exactly why your brain translates. And more importantly, you'll learn the specific habits that train your brain to think directly in English without that mental detour through your first language.
And honestly, once this clicks, it changes everything. Conversations feel faster, less stressful, and way more natural.
Exactly. So if you've ever felt like there's a wall between thinking in your language and speaking in English, today's episode is going to help you take that wall down brick by brick.
Brick by brick. I like that. Okay, should we get into it?
Let's do it. Okay, so here's the first thing I want you to understand. When you learn a second language, your brain doesn't automatically create a brand new thinking system. Instead, it often just links new words to old ones.
Wait, what do you mean links?
I mean, when you learn the word apple in English, your brain probably didn't connect it to the actual fruit, the red, round, crunchy thing. It connected it to your first language's word for apple.
Oh, so in my head, apple is basically just a translation of manzana, not the fruit itself.
Exactly. And that little connection, English word, first language word, meaning, creates an extra step every single time you speak.
An extra step. So my brain is basically doing a 3-step dance every time I want to say something.
A 3-step dance, yes. Word in your head, translate to English, then speak. And that middle step, that's where all the delays happen.
Okay, this is making so much sense now because I remember learning English vocabulary from lists, like happy means feliz, sad means triste.
Right, and those lists are useful for memorizing words, but they actually train your brain to translate. They wire your brain to always go through your first language first.
That's kind of terrifying, honestly. Like I built this habit for years without even realizing it.
Don't worry, it's incredibly common. Almost every learner does this at the beginning. The good news is, this connection isn't permanent. Your brain can build a new, direct connection. English word, straight to meaning, no detour.
Okay, but how? Like, what actually breaks that 3-step dance?
Well, that's basically the whole episode. But the short answer is repetition in context. When you hear or use a word enough times in real situations, not lists, your brain stops needing the translation step.
So instead of happy equals feliz, it just becomes
Happy equals that warm feeling.
Exactly. The meaning attaches directly to the English word. And once that happens for enough words, your brain naturally starts thinking in English, at least for simple things. Okay, so subtopic 2, and Leo, I think you're going to relate to this one a lot.
Oh no, why do I feel nervous already?
It's about something I call the mental dictionary trap.
The mental dictionary trap. Okay, that sounds like a horror movie.
It kind of is for language learners. It's when you're trying to say something, and instead of just saying it, your brain stops to search for the perfect word, like flipping through pages of a dictionary in your head.
Oh, I 100% do this, especially with idioms. Like I'll be talking and I think, okay, in my language we have this expression that means exactly what I want to say, but what's the English version?
And while you're searching for that exact match,
The conversation has moved on, and I missed my chance to say anything at all.
that's the trap. You're not actually communicating anymore. You're searching. And searching takes time, energy, and honestly, it makes you anxious because there's this silence while you're loading.
Oh my gosh, the silence, the awkward silence where the other person is just looking at you, waiting.
Right? And here's the thing. In most cases, there isn't actually a perfect word-for-word match anyway. Languages just don't work like that.
Wait, really? So even if I find the word, it might not even be correct?
It might be close, but languages express ideas differently. There's almost always a more natural English way to say something that isn't a direct translation at all.
Okay, give me an example, because right now my brain is just spinning.
Sure. Let's say in your language, there's an expression that literally translates to, I have hunger. In English, we don't say, I have hunger, we say, I'm hungry. Completely different structure.
Right, hunger becomes an adjective, basically.
Exactly. So if you're searching for a word-for-word match, you'll often end up with something that sounds strange in English, even if every individual word is correct.
So the trap isn't just that it's slow, it's that it can actually lead you to the wrong answer anyway.
Exactly. Which is why the goal isn't finding the perfect translation. It's learning to express the idea, the feeling, the meaning directly in English, even if the structure is completely different from your language. Okay, subtopic 3. This one is probably the single most practical idea in this whole episode.
Ooh, okay, I'm ready. Give me the practical stuff.
So, instead of thinking word by word, the goal is to think in chunks, small groups of words that naturally go together.
Chunks, like vocabulary chunks.
Exactly. For example, instead of memorizing I would like to as 4 separate words, you memorize I'd like to as one piece, one chunk.
Oh, like a phrase that just comes out as a single unit.
Yes, and here's why this matters. When your brain stores language in chunks, it can retrieve a whole chunk instantly without translating each individual word.
That actually explains something, because there are certain phrases in English that just come out of my mouth automatically, like nice to meet you or see you later. I never translate those. They just appear.
Exactly. Those phrases are already stored as chunks in your brain. You're not thinking see plus you plus later. It's one unit with one meaning attached.
So the goal is to build hundreds of those? Thousands?
Eventually, yes. Fluent speakers have a huge mental library of chunks, phrases for greetings, agreeing, disagreeing, expressing opinions, telling stories. And when you're speaking, you're mostly just connecting these chunks together, not building sentences from scratch.
Okay, this is honestly kind of mind-blowing. I always thought fluent speakers were just thinking faster, like faster translation.
It's not faster translation, it's no translation. They're pulling whole pre-built pieces and snapping them together, kind of like Lego blocks.
Okay, Lego blocks. I love that. So instead of building a wall brick by brick, you grab bigger pieces that already fit together.
Exactly. And here's a tip for everyone listening. When you learn a new phrase, don't learn it word by word. Learn it as a whole chunk with the rhythm and everything. And try to use that exact chunk multiple times in different conversations.
So instead of learning frankly and speaking separately, you learn frankly speaking as one chunk.
Exactly. Frankly speaking is actually a great chunk, by the way. It means honestly or to be honest.
Frankly speaking, I wish someone had told me this years ago.
See? You just used it perfectly. All right, subtopic 4. And this one is about something that happens before you even open your mouth.
Before I speak, okay, now I'm curious.
It's about input, specifically listening and reading.
Okay, and don't take this the wrong way. Isn't this a podcast about speaking? Why are we talking about listening?
Fair question. But here's the thing. You can't produce language you've never absorbed. If your brain has never met a certain phrase or structure in a natural context, it has nothing to pull from when you speak.
Okay, that makes sense. Like I can't suddenly say a phrase I've literally never heard before.
Right. So a huge part of speaking without translating actually happens through massive amounts of listening, podcasts, shows, conversations, where your brain absorbs how native speakers naturally combine words.
Okay, but here's my honest confession. Sometimes I listen to something in English and I understand it, but if you asked me to say the exact same thing myself, I couldn't.
That's totally normal, actually. There's a gap between what we can understand, that's called receptive knowledge, and what we can produce ourselves, which is productive knowledge.
Receptive and productive. Okay, so understanding comes first and producing comes later.
Pretty much, yes. And the bigger your receptive library becomes, the more raw material your brain has to slowly turn into things you can say yourself.
It's kind of like a garden. Like you plant a ton of seeds through listening, and only some of them grow into things you can actually use.
I love that. Yes, exactly like a garden. And here's the connection to translation. When your brain has heard a phrase 100 times in natural contexts, it doesn't need to translate it anymore. It already knows how it sounds, feels, and fits.
So basically, the more input, the less translation?
That's the relationship, yes. Translation fills the gap when your brain doesn't have enough natural examples stored. The more natural English you take in, the smaller that gap becomes.
Okay, real question though. How much listening are we talking about here? Like 20 minutes a day?
Honestly, more is better, but consistency matters more than quantity. Even 15 to 20 minutes a day of focused listening, where you're actually paying attention, not just having it as background noise, makes a huge difference over weeks and months.
Okay, that's actually doable. I was scared you were going to say 4 hours a day.
No. Small and consistent beats big and occasional every time. Subtopic 5 is one of my personal favorites, and it might sound a little strange at first.
Strange how?
It's called self-talk, basically talking to yourself in English, out loud or in your head, throughout the day.
Okay, so you want me to just walk around talking to myself like a crazy person?
Kind of, yes. But hear me out. Think about how often you have little thoughts during the day. I need to buy milk. This coffee is too hot. I'm so tired.
Constantly. My brain never stops.
Right, and normally those thoughts happen in your first language automatically, without effort. So here's the exercise. Try to catch some of those small thoughts and say them in English instead.
So instead of thinking in my own language, I'd just think, this coffee is too hot, directly in English.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is, these are usually short, simple sentences, perfect for practicing without pressure because no one's listening, no one's judging.
Okay, I actually tried something like this once. I started narrating, like cooking. Now I'm cutting the onions. Now I'm adding salt. It felt so silly at first.
And how did it feel after a while?
Honestly, after like a week, it started feeling normal. Like my brain just switched into English mode while I was cooking without me forcing it.
That's exactly the goal. You're creating tiny, low-stakes opportunities for your brain to produce English directly, connected to real things happening around you, not abstract translation exercises.
And I guess because it's connected to something real, the onions, the salt, the smell, the words stick better?
Exactly, because meaning and language get linked together in real time in context. That's incredibly powerful for building direct connections instead of translation-based ones.
Okay, I'm definitely bringing this back, though I might wait until I'm home alone again.
Probably wise. Although honestly, talking to yourself in a foreign language in public is a pretty good way to start a conversation with someone curious.
Why is this guy describing his sandwich out loud?
Exactly. Okay, subtopic 6, and this one's a bit more technique-based. It's called shadowing.
Shadowing? Like following someone's shadow?
Kind of. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker in a podcast, a show, anything, and you repeat what they say almost at the same time, copying their rhythm, pronunciation, and pace.
Wait, at the same time? Like overlapping with them?
Pretty much, yes. Just slightly behind, like a shadow following a person.
Okay, that sounds incredibly difficult.
It is at first, but here's why it's so effective. When you're focused on copying sounds and rhythm in real time, there's literally no time to translate. Your brain is forced to process and produce English directly.
Ah, that's clever. So it's almost like translation gets locked out because you're too busy imitating.
Exactly. And over time, this builds something called automaticity, where producing certain sounds, phrases, and rhythms become automatic, like muscle memory.
Muscle memory, like with sports or playing an instrument?
Exactly like that. Think about riding a bike. At first, you're consciously thinking about balance, pedaling, steering, everything. But after enough practice, your body just does it. You don't think about each movement anymore.
And shadowing does that for your mouth and brain with English sounds.
Exactly. The more you shadow, the more certain rhythms and pronunciations become automatic. And automatic responses don't need translation. They just happen.
Okay, I have to admit I tried shadowing once with a movie scene, and it was humbling. I sounded nothing like the actor.
That's completely normal. The goal isn't to sound exactly like them immediately. It's the repeated attempt that trains your brain and mouth muscles.
So even a bad attempt is still useful?
Absolutely, because you're still doing the core action, listening and producing at the same time without time to translate. That's the valuable part.
Okay, that actually makes me feel a lot better about how ridiculous I sounded.
We've all been there. Even a few minutes a day of shadowing a short clip can build real automaticity over time. Okay, last subtopic, and I think this might be the most freeing one of all.
Freeing? Okay, I like the sound of that already.
It's about embracing approximation, basically accepting good enough English instead of constantly searching for perfect English.
Oh, this is going to be hard for me. I'm kind of a perfectionist.
I know. And honestly, perfectionism is one of the biggest reasons people keep translating. Because when you're searching for the perfect word or perfect sentence, you're often pausing, hesitating, going back into your first language to check your idea before saying it.
Right, because I want to make sure it's correct before I say it out loud.
But here's the truth. Native speakers approximate constantly. They use slightly imprecise words. They rephrase mid-sentence. They say thing or stuff when they can't think of the exact word. Communication doesn't require perfection.
Okay, but isn't that kind of lazy? Like, shouldn't we aim for accuracy?
Accuracy matters, absolutely, but here's the key insight. Accuracy improves through speaking and getting feedback, not through avoiding speaking until you're ready. If you wait for perfection before opening your mouth, you'll never build the speed and confidence that comes from real practice.
So it's better to say something slightly wrong quickly than something perfect slowly?
In most real conversations, yes, because speed and flow are actually huge parts of sounding natural. A slightly imperfect sentence said smoothly often sounds more fluent than a perfect sentence said with long pauses and hesitation.
Okay, that's honestly kind of liberating, because so much of my anxiety comes from this fear of saying something wrong.
And here's a little secret. Most native speakers don't even notice small grammar mistakes in casual conversation. They're focused on what you're saying, not how perfectly you're saying it.
Okay, so the takeaway is basically give your brain permission to be imperfect so it can focus on speed instead of translation.
Exactly. Approximation isn't a failure. It's actually a sign that your brain is prioritizing communication over translation. And that's the whole goal of this episode.
Okay, I think I finally understand the secret. It's not one trick, it's kind of a combination of habits that all point in the same direction.
Exactly, Leo. There's no single magic phrase that removes translation overnight, but chunks, input, self-talk, shadowing, and approximation. Together, they retrain your brain to connect meaning directly to English without that detour. All right, before we wrap up, let's do our phrase power section. Some useful expressions connected to today's topic that you can start using right away.
I love this part. Okay, hit me with the first one.
First phrase, to get the hang of something. It means to learn how to do something well, usually after some practice. For example, at first, thinking in English felt impossible, but eventually I got the hang of it.
Nice. Next one, to draw a blank. This means your mind suddenly goes empty and you can't think of anything. Like someone asked me a question and I just drew a blank.
Perfect example, especially for today's topic. Next, off the top of my head. It means saying something quickly, from memory, without much thinking. Off the top of my head, I can think of 3 examples.
Ooh, I use that one a lot actually. Next, to find your words. This means to be able to express yourself, especially after struggling. After a few months of practice, I finally found my words in English.
That's such a beautiful phrase for language learners. Next one, to think on your feet. It means to react quickly and smartly in the moment without preparation. In job interviews, you really have to think on your feet.
Okay, here's one I love, to break the ice. It means to start a conversation in a friendly way, especially with someone new. Talking about the weather is a classic way to break the ice.
Great one. Next, to go with the flow. It means to relax and accept things as they happen without trying to control everything. When I speak English now, I just try to go with the flow.
That's basically the theme of this whole episode.
It really is. Next phrase, to make yourself understood. It means to communicate successfully, even if it's not perfect. Even with a few mistakes, she made herself understood easily.
I really like that one. Next, to pick up a language. It means to learn a language naturally, often without formal study. Kids often pick up languages really quickly just from being around them. And one more from me, to get tongue-tied. It means to suddenly be unable to speak clearly, often because you're nervous. I always get tongue-tied when I have to speak in front of a group.
Such a relatable one. And our last phrase, to put it simply. It's used to summarize something in an easy way. To put it simply, the less you translate, the more naturally you'll speak.
Okay, that's a really solid list. I think I personally relate to at least half of these on a daily basis.
I think most learners do. Okay, time for our word tour. We're going to look at 9 important words from today's episode one more time, just to make sure they're really clear.
Let's do it.
First word, chunk.
What does chunk mean again?
A chunk is a group of words that naturally go together, used as one piece. For example, as a matter of fact is a chunk.
And another example could be, by the way.
Exactly. That's a perfect chunk. Great example.
Okay, next word, please.
Next, automaticity.
Ooh, that's a big one. What does it mean?
It means doing something automatically, without thinking about it. For example, after years of practice, driving becomes pure automaticity for most people.
So, like tying your shoes, you don't think about each step anymore.
Exactly. That's automaticity.
Got it. Next word?
Approximation.
What does that one mean?
It means something close to correct, but not exact. For example, my answer was just an approximation. It's not the exact number.
So, like if someone asks how many people were at a party and I say around 50, that's an approximation.
Perfect example.
Nice. Next.
Receptive.
What does receptive mean?
It means being open to receiving or understanding something, like information or new ideas. She's very receptive to feedback.
So, if my boss gives me advice and I actually listen and consider it, I'm being receptive.
Exactly right.
Okay, next word.
Shadowing.
We talked about this earlier, right?
We did. It means repeating what someone says almost at the same time as they say it, copying their rhythm and pronunciation. She practices shadowing every morning with a podcast.
Right, like copying an actor's lines while the movie plays.
Exactly that.
Next one?
Fluency.
What does fluency mean exactly?
It means speaking smoothly and naturally, without too many pauses or hesitations. Her fluency improved a lot after living abroad.
So fluency isn't really about being perfect, it's about being smooth.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, next.
Detour.
A detour, isn't that like a different road?
It can be. It also means an indirect route, or an extra step that takes longer than necessary. Translation is like a mental detour before you reach the meaning.
Oh, that connects perfectly to today's episode.
It really does. Next word, consistency.
I think I know this one. It's about doing something regularly.
Exactly. It means doing something the same way, repeatedly, over time. Consistency is more important than intensity when learning a language.
So 20 minutes every day beats 4 hours once a week?
Exactly right. And our last word, imitate.
To imitate, that means to copy someone, right?
Yes, to copy someone's actions, sounds, or behavior. Kids often imitate their parents' accents.
And that connects to shadowing too, since you're imitating native speakers.
Exactly. A great connection.
Okay, let's do a quick repeat. I'll say the word and everyone listening can repeat it out loud. Ready?
Ready.
Chunk, automaticity, approximation, receptive, shadowing, fluency, detour, consistency, imitate.
Perfect. Great job, everyone. Okay, so let's bring it all together. Remember at the beginning when we talked about that little stop in the middle of a sentence, that translation pause?
Oh yeah, the red light in the middle of the green light.
Exactly. And now we know that pause happens because your brain is taking a detour through your first language. But the secret isn't some magic trick. It's building new habits, thinking in chunks, getting tons of input, talking to yourself, shadowing native speakers, and most importantly, accepting approximation instead of perfection.
And honestly, just knowing why this happens already makes it feel less scary.
Exactly. So this week, try one small thing. Maybe narrate something while you're cooking or shadow a short clip of a podcast. Small, consistent steps really do add up.
Definitely. And remember, it's okay to sound a little imperfect. That's actually a good sign.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, everyone, that's it for today's episode. Take care of your English.
And take care of yourself.
This is Sarah.
And this is Leo.